Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dr. Movie, wrapping up our 80s Bullies week with this hot number from 1987, The Principal. And this is a good one to end on, right? Because this is getting right towards the end of the 80s. So our bullies just keep getting badder and badder as we go. And the big difference with this one is, instead of them picking on, regular students, they're even threatening the principal in this one, which in most of these movies, the principal just washes his hands of the whole thing and just turns a blind eye. And in this one, we get a different kind of story. So if you're not familiar with this one, 87 action drama, directed by Christopher Kane, same director that gave us Young Guns. So there you go. You kind of understand what kind of movie you're going to get just from that description alone. And how about this cast, right? I've never been the biggest fan of Jim Belushi, but this movie can make me a fan. I think this is one of his better performances. And really, does he really play a different character in anything? He's kind of the same person all the time. It's kind of like Bill Murray. Bill Murray is Bill Murray no matter what movie he's in. I think Jim Belushi's kind of the same way. It works in this one. We got Lou Gossett Jr. Now, if anybody listens to the Helming Power Hour, my main show, you already know what we think about Lou Gossett Jr. because you can't handle the Lou, right? So, and just like in this movie, you can't handle the Lou. If there's a cooler person in this movie, I want to know who it is. So, there you go. Lou Gossett Jr. We got Michael Wright in here, who's our main baddie. 5 Heartbeats. He was in V. So, he's one of those guys when you see him, it's like, oh, yeah, I know exactly who that guy is. Perfect bad guy, right? He just fits the bill perfectly. And then we got Rae Dawn Chong. Don't have to elaborate much on that. It's Rae Dawn Chong. Everybody loves her. And, she's Rae Dawn Chong. That's all you need, right? So, let's look at our synopsis here. It's pretty straightforward. We already know, but the new principal of a drug-infested high school joins up with a security guard to clean it up. Boy, do they ever, right? So, Jim Belushi, he plays Ricky Latimer. He's a school teacher. Just went through an ugly divorce. So when the movie starts off, he's at a bar with all of his buddies. Just went through this ugly divorce. And his wife, or ex-wife, was dating the lawyer that represented her. And so, yeah, he's one of these guys that's... he's got a temper that he really can't control. He pretty much flips his top pretty easily. So, like I said, he's at this bar. He sees them together at the bar. And behind the bar, they got a display of, like, some baseball artifacts or whatever. And Jim Belushi, or Ricky Latimer, grabs the baseball bat and chases after the lawyer out to his car, which is a brand new Porsche, and Ricky Latimer proceeds to destroy the car without prejudice. I mean, he's just wailing on this thing. And because of all this, he goes to work the next day. Like I said, he's a school teacher at a nicer school, and he gets called into the school board. And he's like, what, are y'all going to fire me? Is that what's going on here? Because he's kind of a screw-up. He screwed up his marriage. He screwed up his job. He's one of those kind of guys. And they said, no, we want to promote you. He's like, really? And they said, we need you to be a principal. Really? Where at? And they sent him to this school, which is the worst of the worst. Pretty much everybody that's sent to this school has been kicked out of other schools, right? So, I'll just go ahead and say that it's hard to find a movie where the F-bomb is dropped more than in Die Hard. this one beats it by a mile. Not saying that that's really an issue, but I was really surprised at the level of language in this one. But, Jim Belushi starts going there, or Ricky Latimer starts going there, trying to clean it up, right? And he's trying to show the kids that they have a chance. They don't have to live this way. And like you would typically expect, like any, school movie where we have a teacher that's working with kids, he's finding out that there's kids that don't even know how to read. There's ones that feel like all hope is lost and they're just going through the motions. This is a bad school. And he calls a meeting with everybody in school, and he gets up there and tells them, no more. We're not having any more of this nonsense. We're going to get rid of the drugs. We're going to get rid of everything else that's going on here. We're going to be a learning facility. So he's really taking this job serious. Because right now, this is all he's got. Well, while he's making this speech, one of the main bad guy, Victor Duncan, who's played by Michael Wright, comes in and tries to shut him down. And you got some riffs here, too, between the big gang, which is led by Victor, and some other guys that are on the outskirts that don't necessarily get along with them, so they're always just breaking out into these fights. Matter of fact, when he first gets to the school, he pulls up. When your school has a fence around it that's about 15 feet high, you know you're in trouble, right? But he's standing there and he sees this one guy running and a car chasing after him that runs through the fence while the guy's climbing on top of it and drags the guy across the schoolyard behind the car and breaks into a big fight. And Ricky Latimer goes and breaks them up. And they're like, who are you, man? Mind your own business, all that kind of stuff. He tells them, I'm the new principal. We're not going to have this, right? So he's constantly grabbing people out of classes, taking them to his room, his office, and trying to get to the bottom of everything and trying to show them that he's no pushover. Well, it gets to where he starts foiling some of the drug deals and stuff. The cops won't even come to this school, right? It's that bad. And you got Lou Gossett Jr. there, who's Jake Phillips, who works there as kind of a security guard, kind of a janitor guy. And he's not the janitor guy. That's another guy that even gives Jim Belushi a hard time. But he's head of security, but he's pretty much it. There's nobody else. But he's kind of a do-all, right? He kind of does whatever needs to be done. And he tries to tell Ricky Latimer about all the problems at this school. You're a fool to get involved with this because you'll end up getting hurt. And there's a lot of truth to that. So, in the fashion of 315, all these other movies, this thing boils to a head to where Victor and his gang beat up this one kid who's kind of turning the corner, right? Matter of fact, he was even in the gang, and he quit because they wanted him to knife somebody, I believe is what the story was, or beat somebody up, and the kid refused to do it. And they see him talking to the principal, and they decide to try to take him out, and they mess him up pretty bad. And now Ricky Latimer feels responsible for that happening because he knows that his involvement got this boy hurt. And he has a Rocky II moment, right? He's sitting there in the hospital with this kid who's all banged up, almost in a concussion. Legs are broke. I mean, they dropped him through the ceiling of the school by, had him tied by his feet. And he's pretty roughed up. And he is talking to the kid saying, maybe I should quit because all I'm doing is getting people hurt. And the kid tells him, if you quit, then I got beat up for nothing. And he kind of has that Rocky II moment when Adrian snaps out of the coma and says, Rocky, do me a favor, win. and you hear the bell chime. He kind of has that kind of moment here. So he goes back to the school the next day, finds Victor sitting in the lunchroom, pushes the table up against the wall, crushing Victor inside of it, and says, "You're so tough. You ready to go?" So he starts threatening Victor, and then Victor threatens him and says, "You're a dead man. If you come to school tomorrow, you're a dead man." Well, he shows up the next day. And when school is over, they're locking up the school. That's when it's on, just like 3:15, right? They shut the school down, they lock everybody out, but nobody leaves. They're all hanging outside, watching what's going on. So maybe this kind of borrowed from 3:15, I don't know. But from there, obviously you got Lou Gossett Jr. and, Jake Phillips and Ricky Latimer taking on this gang. And I'm going to kind of just leave it there, right? Because this one's worth checking out for sure if you enjoy these kind of flicks. I'm not exactly sure where you can find this one at. I don't think it's on Tubi. I'm pretty sure it's not on Tubi. But you can find it. It was, it was a pretty popular movie at the time, right? As far as a B movie, it did really well. So you can track this one down. Rae Dawn Chong is a teacher in the school. At first, just like you expect, she hates Ricky Latimer because he's coming in and changing everything and bringing these hoodlums in her classroom. And, even the teachers don't like what Ricky Latimer's doing because, for the most part, all your baddies don't even come to class. You just see them hanging out in the hallways and stuff, selling drugs or whatever. And he's forcing them back into the classrooms, and the teachers don't like it because now they're having to deal with them, right? So you get a lot of that back and forth. You get one guy that's in her class that, I don't know, he starts making fun of somebody else in the class, and she kind of dishes it back to him, and he takes it personally. And he comes in one day after school and tries to rape her. And you get this awesome scene where Ricky Latimer's outside, and he's all about his motorcycle, right? Matter of fact, there's a scene where a group of Victor's guys tear his motorcycle all to pieces, and then Jim Belushi takes it and has it fixed by a group of kids, the auto shop group, and they slick it up for him and write El Principal on there, right? And he's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But he's outside the school talking to one of the students, and he sees one of the glass windows get broken out. So he takes off on his bike through the school, riding up staircases to get to where her room is, and he saves her in the nick of time, beats the crap out of the kid, and gets him arrested, and he gets locked up. But not long after that, he gets released. And he kind of shows up again a little later on. And again, I don't want to ruin everything. But at that point, you got Rae Dawn Chong, who's afraid to come back to the school. She basically puts in a bid for a different job at a different school and gets it, and tells Ricky Latimer that she's leaving. And he's like, hey, totally understand. Hope you do well, yada, yada. And then one day after school, Ricky Latimer's even working with this one kid that doesn't know how to read, so he's teaching him kindergarten or first grade level reading, maybe second grade level reading. And, he's working with it to get him to where he knows how to read. And one day after school, he's doing that, and Rae Dawn Chong walks in. And he's like, what are you doing here? She's like, well, this is my classroom. So it's like she decided to stay. So I think people are starting to believe in, Ricky Latimer's not going to back down, right? And that's really what we get here, right? And that's the big showdown that we have, which is done really well. And this is a solid flick. This has been a really good week of solid movies. So I recommend you watch all of these. If you like, 80s grittiness by any degree, this was taking off the Valley Girl, MTV look about it, everything, and giving you more of the gritty, inner city, hard knocks kind of looks of things. Every one of these is good about that. So I recommend this one. I think this is a good movie. Jim Belushi and Lou Gossett Jr. together is a very good combination. It works. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. It's a really good flick. You need to check it out. That's The Principal, 1987. Look it up, find it, check it out. Let me know your thoughts on it, or thoughts on any other movie that you feel like, hey, maybe you should follow up this group of movies with these movies, right? So just let me know. And folks, enjoy these flicks, and we will see you next time. Check you later.